Imagine you're a mutant rat in the middle of Manhattan. How can you find a place to live and raise 4 mutant turtles? Today, I will make a quick overview of the different versions of the turtle lair. The concept of the turtles and their master living under the streets of New York may sound a little crazy at first, but in reality, there is a lot happening under the streets. There are more than 2,000 people living under the streets. The media nicknamed them as the Mole People, but in reality, they are just homeless people that live under very dire circumstances. There are recounts of people living under the city since the Great Depression. New York has 472 subway stations, with plenty of tunnels in between, at many different levels, and that is without counting the many abandoned stations and tunnels. In addition to the subway system, there are tunnels under Chinatown that were used for the Chinese gang war in the 1800s and later repurposed during Prohibition. And just to prove of how little we know of the underground world, a boarded-up room with its walls and ceiling covered in mirrors was discovered by a group of engineers near the intersection of Bowery and Canal Street. No one ever found out what its purpose was, or so the legend says. So as you can see, the sewers were not only a sensible choice for the turtle lair, but it was also a good hiding spot. It wouldn't be enough to know they lived down there when there are so many kilometers of tunnels to cover. In the original comics, the turtles had 3 official lairs in the sewers. The first one was where the turtles grew up, until it was partially destroyed by the Mousers. It wasn't until they returned to the city that they had a second sewer lair. But this lair didn't last long for reasons unknown. During this time, the turtles donated their original lair to Leatherhead. After the events of City at War, when the turtles lived in an empty water tower, they finally settled for a new sewer lair. This lair would be the last one until the end of the Mirage continuity. That third lair was compromised during the Image Run, and the turtles had to find a second place to live, in a cemetery. But, as you may know, the events of this volume are non-canon. In the Archie adventures, the lair had 3 levels: Splinter's bedroom and a kitchen, where in the first level, although not connected to each other. The next level included a gym and the turtles' bedroom, and a final level included a living room area. Although the schematics look a bit confusing, these may be simply 2 levels, but you get the idea. In the IDW comics, the turtles also had their first lair destroyed by the Mousers, although in this version, they didn't live there that long. The turtles would revisit this lair in the Turtles in Time miniseries. After the destruction of this lair, they found a new place in an abandoned church that, according to its coordinates, is located at 1 Heaven Plaza. The church had a bomb shelter that the turtles used as their living quarters. The location of this lair was compromised by Metalhead and Agent Bishop, and this may have been one of the reasons the turtles chose to abandon it after the mutagen bomb hit. But really, the mutagen bomb was the perfect opportunity for the turtles to move out. They opened the Splinter Dojo and started forming a better community in the now nicknamed Mutant Town. The new building had separate apartments for each turtle, plus guests, in addition to the many classrooms and common areas. This floor plan by Sophie Campbell was the original proposal of the Splinter Dojo. This new lair worked as a community center until it was burned down by the Punk Frogs. This forced the turtles to move back into the church basement. Moving on to the movies. This was where the lair got one of its more important changes. Just like in the comics, the turtles had a first lair where they grew up. This lair was compromised when the Foot Clan found its location and kidnapped Splinter. But after living with April for a while, they eventually found an abandoned subway station. The name of that station seemed to be Doty Man, and it became the turtle lair for the second and third movies. The whole set was later moved to Vancouver, British Columbia, and used as the turtles' lair in the Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation series. The set design was inspired by a real abandoned station called City Hall Station. The blueprints were drawn by Jeffrey S. Grimsman, who also designed sets for many movies and TV shows, and was an assistant art director for The Crow, a movie that reused another set from the first Ninja Turtles movie. How the Turtles inhabited this place was mostly explored in the live-action show, but in both cases, Splinter could be seen sleeping inside the subway car. The boys and the girl, on the other hand, slept mostly on couches, but the arrangement changed often. If you're intrigued by this lair, you can check out a walkthrough on Michelle Ivy's YouTube channel. In the 2007 movie, the Turtles did not live in the abandoned station anymore, or perhaps never did, depending on whether you consider it as part of the same universe. They instead seemed to live in a sewer lair more in line to the one from the 2003 cartoon. Jumping to the Paramount movies, both sewer lairs were practical sets and not CGI. The first one was compromised when the Foot located it, so the family had to move to a new lair. The set had the size of a football field and took 3 months to build. Perhaps the most iconic part of this lair was the wall with 125 boomboxes. The second lair was bigger and even had a water slide with water pumps that provided enough water every minute to fill a swimming pool. The set was overdesigned with so many details that were impossible to notice during the shots. Moving on to the TV shows, the 1987 Turtle Lair was probably the first version many fans ever met of the Sewer Sweet Sewer. There are many maps from manuals and fan-made floor plans, but in general, all of them agree that the Turtle Lair had a training room, an armory, a TV room, an eat-in kitchen, a laboratory, a garage, and then a hallway to all the Turtles' rooms and Splinter's chamber/meditation room. Unlike other versions of the lair, this remained the only home for the Turtles throughout the 10 seasons of the show, even after many guest characters found its location. Just like Leatherhead in the comics, Mondo Gecko became a neighbor of the Turtles, despite this fact rarely being mentioned again. In 2013, IGN asked Movoto Real Estate to estimate the value of this sewer lair. They calculated the property was built in 1984 in Hell's Kitchen, with a total size of 12,420 square feet. They counted 5 bedrooms, with bathrooms everywhere. It all came down to a final valuation of $10,963,296. It's expensive, but have in mind it has parking with access to the surface, a storage room that appeared on some plans, and communal toilet. In the winter, the naturally warm sewer air paired with fire in an oil drum would be guaranteed to make you feel at home. And if the price was still not convincing enough, they were adding 1 free fumigation and a year's supply of air fresheners. The 2003 show added more story elements to the lair. It started with the original lair, just like in the comics, where Splinter raised the Turtles until their teenage years, but this lair was destroyed in their very first episode after an attack by the Mousers. Since this show is a more loyal adaptation of the comics, this first lair also became the home of Leatherhead, but in his attempt to build a transmat device, and during a confrontation with Baxter, this lair finally collapsed. The second home of the Turtles was discovered by Splinter in the first episode, and it was a secret Elintian outpost. The Elintian were a race that ruled the Earth 10,000 years ago with the aid of sun crystals, and they were the inspiration for the myth of Atlantis. This on itself is a topic for another video. The Turtles and Splinter moved into this new lair, which was much bigger than the lairs we've seen before. Each brother had a bedroom with a large living area, a lab, and a room for Splinter. As part of the Elintian outpost, they had an elevator that took them to an abandoned repair shop in the corner of Eastman and Laird, where the Turtles hid the battle shell. This lair was destroyed by the Foot Clan under the leadership of Karai. The Turtles barely survived this confrontation and were forced to move into a new secret location, but they would eventually return here during the 5th season to make an alliance with their allies and enemies to fight the Tengu Shredder. As I mentioned, the Turtles had to move out, and Leonardo found a reservoir station under Central Park that became their new home for the rest of Season 4, Season 5, 7, and the Turtles Forever movie, when it was destroyed in a confrontation with Hun. The next adaptation was the 2012 cartoon, and we wouldn't see the origins of this lair until the final season, in the episode named Lone Rat and Cubs, written by Kevin Eastman himself. In this story, a recently mutated Splinter was on the run from the Krang, living in several different places, like water towers. He eventually realized that the Krang couldn't detect their signature radiation under the streets, and that is how they ended up in an abandoned subway relay station. This lair had a large common area with individual bedrooms for each character, a kitchen, a dojo, and a lab/garage. The Turtles farmed their own algae and worms as they couldn't go to the surface, an impediment that they decided to start ignoring after 15 years. Apart from artificial lights, the common area and the dojo have skylights that provide natural light. The Turtles almost lost this lair after its location was compromised by Krang Subprime. Until they helped free the city from the Krang, the Turtles moved to Northampton for a while, and later hid in Antonia's Pizzarama. But once the invasion was over, the Turtles returned to their lair. It is worth noticing that neither Donnie nor Leo's bedrooms were ever shown in the series, so they may not exist. The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series had an even bigger lair. It was basically an atrium with 3 floors, and it had natural light from a skylight. On the ground floor, there was some sort of moat with skate ramps to the first floor, where the Turtles' bedrooms were located. Splinter's bedroom was located on the 2nd floor, which I believe also counted as a TV projector room, next to an arcade room, a kitchen, and a vault. Donnie's lab was located on the 3rd floor. The lair also had 2 bathrooms, a turtle tank garage, a medical bay, a comic book safe, and a music room. This lair was destroyed in the series finale by the Foot Clan and the Shredder. In the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, they moved to an abandoned subway station, in a clear reference to the now classic movies and Next Mutation lair. It is not clear if this lair was destroyed by the Krang, but given that Splinter and April escaped fast enough, the lair may still be intact. There were many playsets, produced and unproduced by Playmates, like the Sewer playset of 1989. In 1992, after the success of The Secret of the Ooze, Playmates was planning on releasing a playset that would have been ideal for the movie star's Turtles, but it was deemed too expensive to produce, so the concept was abandoned. It was supposed to resemble the abandoned subway station, including a subway car. You can find more photos of this set in the Rad Plastic book by Chris Fawcett. As a curiosity, there was an 8-piece secret sewer map that came with many vehicles and sets. This wasn't an actual map, but it was really a fun poster produced by the Pangea Corporation, who were part of the original creative team that launched the line and the animation. Other popular playsets from Playmates came out for the 2003 series, the 2012 series, which had at least 2 different dioramas, the 2016 movie, and finally, the Epic Sewer playset from Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was probably the biggest playset to date. There were other playsets by LEGO and HSH, but the one diorama that has fans excited is the one coming out from NECA. It will have 3 modules that will include a kitchen, the TV room, and Donnie's lab. A price will be revealed soon. Which lair is your favorite, and which playset do you like the most? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and click the like button to support this channel. Thanks for watching.